to the secret of Whispers Ranch. In a fair filled with secrets, an uncontrollable horse terrorized everyone with its untamable fury. No human seemed capable of approaching it without being violently rejected. Until a young girl dared to step forward, as if she knew something others didn't. The reason will give you chills. Before hearing this moving story, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more amazing animal tales. The annual Maple Creek Fair had always been the most anticipated event of the year. The streets of the small countryside town filled with colors, aromas, and music, transforming the quiet routine into a true festival of joy and tradition. In that year of 2025, something different hung in the air, as if destiny had prepared a special encounter between two unlikely souls. Emily Parker, a girl of only 12 years old, stood out among other children not by her appearance. Her wavy brown hair and honey-colored eyes were common in the region, but by her unique ability to understand what was happening in others' hearts. Since she was little, her parents, Jack and Hannah, noticed how she could calm even the most agitated animals on the family farm. The main attraction of the fair that year was Thunder, a majestic black horse that had been donated to the town's equestrian center. The animal, known for its wild nature and explosive temperament, remained isolated in a specially reinforced corral. Its furious neighs echoed through the central square, causing people to keep a safe distance, observing with a mix of fascination and fear. "This horse is impossible to tame," commented the most experienced handlers in the region. "We've tried everything, but it doesn't accept anyone's approach." Stories about the frustrated attempts at approaching the horse circulated around town, further feeding the mystery surrounding the animal. During the first days of the fair, Emily observed the horse from afar, intrigued by its solitude. While other children had fun on rides and at game booths, she spent hours sitting on a bench near the corral, studying each movement of the animal. "Honey, you better stay away from that," a horse warned Hannah, concerned about her daughter's growing interest. "It's too dangerous." But Emily saw something that others couldn't see. In Thunder's eyes, she found not fury, but a profound fear and loneliness. On a particularly busy afternoon, while everyone was distracted by the music performances on the main stage, the girl decided it was time to act. With soft and determined steps, she approached the corral. The horse, noticing her presence, began to neigh and stomp its hooves forcefully on the ground. People around stopped to watch, some shouting for someone to prevent the girl from getting closer. "Emily Parker, come back here right now," shouted Jack, her father, running in her direction. But before he could reach her, something extraordinary happened. The girl stopped a few meters from the corral and began to softly hum an old lullaby that her grandmother had taught her. Her eyes met those of the horse, and at that moment, time seemed to freeze. The animal, which seconds before had been agitated, fell completely silent. With surprising delicacy, Emily extended her hand through the bars of the corral. The crowd that had formed held their breath, fearing the worst. But Thunder, contradicting all expectations, slowly approached and touched his muzzle to the palm of the girl's hand. "It's impossible," murmured one of the handlers, astonished by the scene he was witnessing. The moment was recorded by dozens of cell phones, and within minutes social media was flooded with videos of the miracle at the fair. People from all parts of town began to gather around the corral, witnessing the incredible connection between the girl and the horse. Dr. Richard Morgan, a renowned behavioral veterinarian who was passing through town, observed everything with scientific interest. "In more than 30 years of practice, I've never seen anything like it," he commented, approaching Jack and Hannah. "Your daughter has an extraordinary gift." In the days that followed, news of the girl who tamed the untamable horse began to attract regional media attention. Journalists arrived in the small town, eager to document the phenomenon that was revolutionizing the understanding of communication between humans and animals. Emily, oblivious to all the commotion she had caused, continued to visit Thunder daily. With each encounter, the bond between them strengthened, and the horse, once feared by all, visibly transformed. Its eyes, once full of fury, now conveyed a contagious serenity. "He just needed someone to understand him," Emily explained with the simplicity typical of her age. "Sometimes when we're afraid we seem angry, but deep down we just want a friend. The fair, which normally lasted only a week, was extended for 15 more days due to growing interest in the story. The town's mayor, seeing the transformative potential of that event, began to plan the creation of a center for studies on animal communication, inspired by the extraordinary connection between Emily and Thunder. With the repercussions of the encounter between Emily and Thunder, the small town of Maple Creek was experiencing an unprecedented transformation. What no one knew, however, was that this extraordinary connection hid a family secret that dated back 3 generations. Grandma Rose, Emily's grandmother, observed everything from a distance with a special gleam in her eyes. At 75 years old, the silver-haired woman with a face marked by time kept stories that could explain her granddaughter's singular gift. On a particularly quiet afternoon, while Emily once again demonstrated her connection with Thunder to a group of researchers, Rose decided it was time to reveal the truth. "Hannah, my daughter, we need to talk," she said to Emily's mother, leading her to the old trunk of memories she kept in her room. With trembling hands, she removed a photo album yellowed by time. "There's something about our family that you need to know." The pages of the album revealed black and white images of a young Rose, not very different from Emily, surrounded by horses on a ranch that few in town knew about. "Whispers Ranch," she explained, "belonged to my family for generations. It was a special place where horses considered problematic found peace." Hannah flipped through the album with growing interest, discovering a family history she had never imagined. Her mother, always so reserved about the past, began to unravel a skein of memories that explained much about the present. "Our family always had a gift," continued Rose, "a unique ability to understand the silent language of horses. Your great-grandmother, Abigail, was the first to discover this talent. She transformed Whispers Ranch into a refuge for traumatized horses, a place where they could heal through love and understanding." The photographs showed dozens of horses, each with its own story of overcoming. Rose narrated with emotion how her mother, and then she herself, had dedicated their lives to this special work. "But everything changed when the ranch was sold." Her voice broke when remembering. "We had to move to town, and this gift was gradually forgotten, until now." Meanwhile, in the center of town, Dr. Richard Morgan was conducting a series of studies on Thunder's behavior. The veterinarian was particularly intrigued by the physiological changes he observed in the animal when Emily was nearby. "It's as if she emits a frequency that only he can capture," he explained to his fellow researchers. Jack, Emily's father, began to investigate more about the horse's history. He discovered that Thunder had been raised on a ranch near the old Whispers Ranch. The coincidences began to accumulate, weaving a plot that connected past and present. In one of the observation sessions, Emily shared something surprising. "Sometimes, when I'm with Thunder, I see images in my mind. Like memories, but they're not mine, they're his." The researchers exchanged intrigued looks, while Dr. Richard made feverish notes in his notebook. News of Emily's special gift began to attract the attention of other families who kept similar stories. An elderly lady from a neighboring town came especially to tell how her grandmother also had a unique connection with horses. "It was like an ancient tradition, a knowledge passed down through generations," she explained. The mayor, seeing the historical and cultural potential of that discovery, proposed the creation of a research and documentation center. "We need to preserve these stories," he argued, in a meeting with the town council. "They are part of our identity." Grandma Rose, upon learning of the plans for the research center, felt it was time to reveal one more secret. In an old box, she kept documents that proved that the old Whispers Ranch had not been legally sold. "It was a misunderstanding," she explained, "and perhaps now is the time to correct this error from the past." The family's story began to intertwine with the present in unexpected ways. Emily, without knowing it, was rediscovering a legacy that had been temporarily lost. Her connection with Thunder was not just an individual gift, but part of a much deeper family heritage. Dr. Richard, analyzing the collected data, began to develop a theory about genetic transmission of empathic abilities. "There's something in this family's DNA," he explained, "something that science still can't fully explain. The afternoons at the fair transformed into veritable lessons in history and emotional connection. People of all ages gathered to observe Emily and Thunder, but now with a new understanding. It wasn't just about a girl and a horse. It was about recovering an ancient wisdom, a knowledge that had been kept in the heart of a family for generations. Hannah, processing all the revelations, began to recall moments from her own childhood when she had felt a special connection with animals, but never fully understood. How could we forget something so important? She wondered, watching her daughter naturally demonstrate a gift that had been dormant for so long in her family. As autumn arrived in Maple Creek, bringing with it cooler winds and golden leaves, the story of Emily's family began to reveal new dimensions. The research center, now established in an old mansion near the central square, was buzzing with activities and surprising discoveries. Grandma Rose, armed with her box of memories, began to share ancestral techniques of communication with horses. Her classes attracted people from different parts of the country, transforming the place into a true center of equestrian wisdom. The secret is not in dominating the animal, she explained patiently, but in establishing a partnership based on mutual respect. During one of these sessions, something extraordinary happened. Sophie, a 10-year-old girl who had traveled with her parents from Ohio, demonstrated sensitivities similar to Emily's. When approaching one of the newly arrived horses at the center, the girl established an instantaneous connection that left everyone speechless. "It's not a coincidence," affirmed Grandma Rose, quickly leafing through her old diary. Sophie's grandmother, Mrs. Margaret, worked at Whispers Ranch during the 60s. There are more families out there with this dormant gift. Dr. Richard Morgan, who had decided to establish permanent residence in town to continue his research, began to map a network of families that shared similar stories. It's as if there were an invisible community of people connected by this special gift, he theorized, filling a large map on his office wall with colored markers. Emily, now with a deeper understanding of her heritage, began to develop new abilities. Not only did she communicate with Thunder, but she started to interpret the emotional needs of other horses. Her sensitivity expanded day by day, allowing her to identify hidden traumas and fears in the animals. It's as if each horse had its own music, she explained to visitors at the center. Some have sad melodies, others happy ones, but they all need someone who knows how to listen to their song. Hannah, inspired by the rediscovery of this family legacy, began to feel her own gift awakening. Initially, they were just subtle sensations, but gradually she began to perceive nuances in the horse's emotions that had previously escaped her. "It's like relearning a language you spoke in childhood," she commented, emotional. The mayor, seeing the positive impact the center was having on the town, initiated an ambitious project, the recovery of the old Whispers Ranch. The documents found by Grandma Rose proved fundamental to reversing the irregular sale, and soon restoration plans began to take shape. "We're going to transform Whispers Ranch into a sanctuary," he announced during a public meeting, "a place where this ancestral knowledge can be preserved and transmitted to future generations." Jack, who initially had been skeptical about the whole phenomenon, became one of the greatest enthusiasts of the project. His skills as a civil engineer were fundamental in planning the restoration of the ranch's old facilities, preserving its historic architecture while adapting the spaces for modern needs. Thunder, the catalyst for all this transformation, continued to surprise everyone. Under Emily's care, he became a true teacher, helping in the recovery of other traumatized horses that arrived at the center. His imposing presence, once a source of fear, now transmitted security and healing. During a particularly significant afternoon, while Emily was conducting a therapy session with a newly arrived horse, Grandma Rose made an impressive discovery in her old documents. Our family prophecy, written by her great-grandmother, spoke of a time when the family's special gift would be revealed to the world through a special child. "When innocence meets ancient wisdom," she read aloud, "horses will again speak with men, and secrets kept for generations will finally be understood." News of this prophecy spread quickly through town, adding a new layer of mystery to the already extraordinary story. Researchers from different areas, anthropologists, geneticists, historians, began to take interest in the phenomenon, each seeking to understand this unique connection from different perspectives. Emily, oblivious to all the academic excitement her story provoked, continued her silent work with the horses. For her, the most important thing wasn't the theories or studies, but the moments of pure connection she shared with each animal that arrived at the center. Each horse has a story to tell, she said, and sometimes all they need is someone willing to listen with their heart. Winter arrived in Maple Creek, bringing with it not only cold, but a wave of renewal and hope. The old Whispers Ranch, once forgotten and abandoned, now buzzed with restoration activities. The sound of hammers and saws mixed with the neighing of horses, creating a symphony of rebirth. Jack, immersed in the restoration project, discovered more than just worn beams and broken tiles. In a secret compartment in the main barn, he found a chest full of diaries, photographs, and old maps. "It's as if the ranch itself is revealing its secrets to us," he commented, marveled at the discovery. Grandma Rose, with tears in her eyes, leafed through the found diaries. "These are the records of my great-grandmother," she explained, her voice breaking with emotion. "Here are described healing techniques and communication with horses that we thought were lost forever." Dr. Richard Morgan, fascinated with the content of the diaries, initiated a project to digitize and study these documents. "We're facing a treasure of knowledge," he declared during an improvised press conference. "These techniques can revolutionize not only our understanding of communication between species, but also open new paths in animal-assisted therapy." Meanwhile, Emily continued her work at the research center, now aided by Sophie and other children who demonstrated similar abilities. Together, they formed a small team that local residents affectionately nicknamed the Horse Whisperers. One day, during a particularly intense session with a newly rescued horse, Emily had a vision that left her stunned. "I saw images of a place," she explained later, still shaking, "a cave hidden in the hills behind the ranch. There were paintings on the walls, horses and people together." Emily's revelation triggered a frantic search. Jack, using the old maps found in the chest, organized an expedition to the hills. After days of searching, they finally found the entrance to the cave, hidden by years of vegetation. What they discovered inside left everyone breathless. The cave walls were covered with cave paintings, depicting humans and horses in a harmonious dance. Archaeologists called in urgently confirmed the paintings were thousands of years old. "This changes everything," declared Dr. Lucia Fernandez, chief archaeologist of the team. "These paintings suggest that the special connection between humans and horses in this region is much older than we imagined. We're talking about a millennial legacy." The discovery of the cave attracted international attention. Journalists, researchers, and curious people began to flock to Maple Creek, transforming the small town into an epicenter of studies on interspecies communication. At the center of all this excitement, Thunder remained a majestic and serene figure. His behavior continued to intrigue researchers. Dr. Richard noticed that the horse seemed to react to events even before they happened. "It's as if he had an expanded perception of time and space," theorized the veterinarian. One afternoon, while Emily and Thunder were resting under the shade of an old maple tree, the girl had another powerful vision. This time she clearly saw a scene from the past. Her great-grandmother, still young, performing a ritual with the ranch's horses during the summer solstice. "The ritual," exclaimed Grandma Rose when Emily shared her vision. "My grandmother spoke about this, but we thought it was just a family legend." The discovery of the ancestral ritual coincided with the approach of the summer solstice. An energy of anticipation took over the ranch. Researchers, local residents, and visitors from around the world anxiously awaited to see what would happen. On the night of the solstice, guided by the instructions from the old diaries and her own intuitions, Emily conducted a ritual that no living person had ever witnessed. Under the starry sky, with Thunder by her side, she began to sing an ancient melody, her words echoing through the hills. What happened next left all those present in a state of reverence. The ranch's horses, as if responding to an ancestral call, gathered in a perfect circle around Emily and Thunder. A soft glow emanated from the ground, tracing lines that connected the animals in a complex pattern. Dr. Richard, observing everything, with his instruments, recorded unprecedented readings of brain activity in both the horses and Emily. "It's as if their brains were synchronized at a frequency we've never seen before," he explained, barely able to contain his excitement. The ritual lasted all night, and when the sun rose, something had fundamentally changed, not just on the ranch or in town, but in everyone who witnessed the event. It was as if an ancient connection had been re-established, a lost link between humanity and nature finally restored. In the days that followed, reports began to emerge of people throughout the region experiencing a new sensitivity toward animals, not just with horses, but with all living beings. It was as if the ritual had awakened a dormant consciousness in each one. "What we witnessed here," declared the mayor, in an emotional speech, "is not just the rediscovery of a family gift. It's the awakening of something much greater, something that perhaps all of humanity has forgotten over time." Emily, exhausted but radiant after the ritual, summarized the experience with the simplicity proper to her age. "Horses have always been trying to tell us something. Now finally we're ready to listen." The months that followed the solstice ritual brought profound changes not just to Maple Creek, but to the entire world around it. Whispers Ranch, now fully restored, became an international center for studies on interspecies communication and expanded consciousness. The impact of the ritual spread like ripples in a lake, affecting people and animals in surprising ways. Reports of extraordinary connections between humans and animals began to emerge from different parts of the globe. It was as if the ritual had activated a dormant frequency in humanity's collective consciousness. Emily, now 13 years old, faced the challenges of her newly discovered fame with surprising maturity. Her abilities continued to develop, allowing her to communicate not just with horses, but with an increasingly wider variety of animals. "It's not that I talk to them like we talk to each other," she explained in an interview for a documentary. "It's more like feeling what they feel, seeing the world through their eyes for a moment." Dr. Richard Morgan, in partnership with internationally renowned neuroscientists, initiated a revolutionary study on the brain changes observed in Emily and others who demonstrated similar abilities. His discoveries began to challenge established scientific paradigms about consciousness and perception. "What we're observing," he declared at an international conference, "suggests that the human brain possesses latent capabilities of communication and empathy that go far beyond what we imagined possible." Meanwhile, at Whispers Ranch, Grandma Rose assumed the role of guardian of ancestral wisdom. Her knowledge, combined with the discoveries in the old diaries, formed the basis of a new educational curriculum that attracted students from around the world. "We're not just teaching techniques of communication with animals," she explained. "We're relearning to be an integral part of nature, something our modern society has long forgotten." Thunder's transformation continued to surprise everyone. The horse, once known for his fury, now exhibited an almost supernatural wisdom. He seemed capable of identifying people with hidden emotional traumas, gently guiding them in a healing process that defied conventional explanations. One day, during an animal-assisted therapy session, Thunder surprised everyone by approaching a war veteran who suffered from severe post-traumatic stress. The man, who had been unable to speak for years due to trauma, suddenly began to cry and, to everyone's astonishment, form words. "It's as if the horse unlocked something inside me," the man explained later. "It was like he entered my mind and gently removed the fear that was holding me back." The success of Whispers Ranch's therapy program attracted the attention of medical institutions worldwide. Hospitals and rehabilitation centers began to implement programs inspired by the techniques developed there, with promising results in cases of trauma, depression, and anxiety. Jack, seeing the positive impact the ranch's work was having, decided to expand the project. With the support of ethical investors and environmental organizations, he initiated the creation of a network of similar sanctuaries in different parts of the world. What began as the story of a girl and a horse, he said in an interview, is transforming into a global movement of reconnection with nature. The scientific community, initially skeptical, began to open up to new possibilities. Studies in fields such as quantum biology and neuroplasticity offered fascinating insights into the mechanisms behind the abilities demonstrated by Emily and others. However, not everything was rosy. The rapid growth and fame brought challenges. The small town of Maple Creek struggled to deal with the influx of visitors and worldwide attention. Concerns arose about preserving the integrity of the work carried out at the ranch in the face of increasing commercialization. Emily, feeling the weight of responsibility, sought advice from Grandma Rose. "How can we protect something so precious?" she asked, concerned. The wise woman smiled gently. "My dear, true knowledge cannot be possessed or controlled. It is like water. It flows freely and finds its own way. Our task is to be a clean channel so that it can flow and nourish the world." Inspired by these words, Emily began to work on a book, documenting her experiences and insights. It wasn't an instruction manual, but an invitation for each person to rediscover their own connection with the natural world. "Each of us has the ability to hear the silent voice of nature," she wrote. "It's not a special gift reserved for a few, but a forgotten heritage that belongs to all of humanity." As autumn once again painted the maple leaves golden, the ranch prepared for a new chapter. An international conference on expanded consciousness and planetary harmony was about to begin, bringing together scientists, spiritual leaders, environmentalists, and curious people from around the world. The air vibrated with possibilities, as if the world were on the brink of a great revelation. And at the center of it all, a girl and her horse continued to remind everyone about the transformative power of connection, love, and mutual understanding. The International Conference on Expanded Consciousness and Planetary Harmony transformed the quiet Maple Creek into an epicenter of revolutionary ideas. The event, held in the vast fields of Whispers Ranch, brought together brilliant minds from various areas of knowledge, all united by the desire to understand and expand the limits of human consciousness. Dr. Aisha Patel, a renowned neuroscientist from India, presented fascinating discoveries about the brain changes observed in individuals who developed abilities similar to Emily's. "We are witnessing the activation of areas of the brain that we previously considered dormant," she explained, projecting magnetic resonance images that showed patterns of neural activity never before recorded. While adults debated theories and analyzed data, Emily led a group of young people in a series of practical workshops. Under the shade of century-old maple trees, she taught techniques of meditation and connection with nature, encouraging each participant to discover their own unique way of communicating with the world around them. "There isn't just one right way to do this," she explained with wisdom beyond her years. "Each of us has our own melody, and we need to learn to tune it with the symphony of nature." On the third day of the conference, an unexpected event shook everyone. A group of wild horses, led by a majestic black stallion, appeared on the hills surrounding the ranch. The animals, known for their skittish nature, calmly approached the event site, as if answering a silent call. Emily, feeling an immediate connection with the leader of the group, walked toward the horses under the watchful and concerned gaze of those present. What followed was a moment of pure magic. The girl and the wild stallion met in the middle of the field, touching foreheads in a gesture of deep, mutual recognition. "It's as if they had always known each other," whispered Grandma Rose, moved by the scene. The event with the wild horses catalyzed a series of extraordinary experiences among the conference participants. People who had never demonstrated special sensitivities began to report moments of deep connection with nature and the animals around them. Dr. Richard Morgan, in collaboration with an international team of researchers, initiated a study to document and analyze these phenomena. "What we're seeing here," he declared in an improvised press conference, "suggests that these abilities may be latent in all of us, waiting for the right stimulus to be activated." However, not everyone received this news with enthusiasm. A group of skeptics, led by Dr. Marcus Stern, a renowned neuropsychiatrist, expressed concerns about what he called mass hysteria and collective self-suggestion. "We cannot be carried away by anecdotes and subjective experiences," argued Dr. Stern. "We need rigorous, controlled, and replicable studies before making such extraordinary claims." The heated debate that followed divided opinions and brought to light profound questions about the nature of consciousness, the role of science, and the limits of human knowledge. Emily, feeling the growing tension, decided to intervene in a unique way. She invited Dr. Stern for a personal experience with thunder. Initially reluctant, the scientist ended up accepting, more out of a desire to unmask what he considered a farce than out of genuine curiosity. The encounter between the skeptical Dr. Stern and thunder was witnessed by a small group, including Dr. Richard and Grandma Rose. For several minutes, nothing seemed to happen. The scientist remained standing, arms crossed, while the horse calmly observed him. Then suddenly something changed. Dr. Stern's rigid posture relaxed, and tears began to roll down his face. When he finally spoke, his voice was choked with emotion. I saw memories I had buried long ago, things I didn't even know I still remembered. The event with Dr. Stern marked a turning point in the conference. Even the most skeptical were forced to recognize that something extraordinary was happening, something that defied conventional explanations. In the days that followed, a new spirit of collaboration and openness took over the event. Scientists, mystics, artists, and community leaders began to work together, seeking a more holistic understanding of the phenomena they were witnessing. Emily, observing all this with a mixture of joy and concern, confessed her fears to Jack and Hannah. "What if this knowledge is misused?" she asked. "What if people use these abilities to control or manipulate?" Jack embraced his daughter affectionately. "My dear, every great power brings with it a great responsibility. Our task is to ensure that this knowledge is used to heal and unite, not to divide." Hannah added, "Remember what your great-grandmother wrote in the diaries. True power comes not from control but from harmony. Those who seek to dominate nature end up dominated by their own ignorance." Inspired by these words, Emily decided to propose a challenge to the conference participants. In the last days of the event, she invited them for an ambitious project: to create a Declaration of Planetary Harmony, a document that would establish ethical principles for the use and development of these new abilities. The process of creating the declaration was itself a lesson in communication and empathy. People from different cultures, beliefs, and areas of knowledge had to find a common language, overcome differences, and work together for a greater goal. When the final document was read at the conference's closing ceremony, there was a palpable feeling of hope and possibility in the air. The Declaration of Planetary Harmony was not just a set of ethical guidelines, but a call for a new way of being and living in the world. Emily, standing next to Thunder, looked at the gathered crowd and felt the weight of the moment. "This is just the beginning," she thought. "The real work begins now, when each of us returns home and starts to live these principles day by day." As the sun set over Whispers Ranch, painting the sky with shades of orange and pink, there was a shared feeling that something profound had changed. A new era was beginning, an era of greater connection, understanding, and harmony between all forms of life on Earth. And at the center of it all, a girl and her horse continued to remind everyone of the transformative power of love, empathy, and connection with nature. The months that followed the international conference brought a wave of changes that spread far beyond the borders of Maple Creek. The Declaration of Planetary Harmony, initially seen as an idealistic document, began to influence policies and practices in various sectors of society. Emily, now 14 years old, found herself at the center of a silent revolution. Her presence was requested at international forums, television programs, and even special sessions of the UN. However, the young girl remained true to her roots, insisting on spending most of her time at Whispers Ranch with the horses and nature she loved so much. "I'm not the one with the answers," she repeatedly said. "I'm just a messenger. The true lessons come from nature if we're willing to listen." Dr. Richard Morgan, in partnership with an international team of scientists, continued his research on the neurological changes observed in people who developed interspecies communication abilities. His studies led to the creation of a new scientific field, integrative neuroconsciousness. We're discovering that the human brain is much more plastic and adaptable than we imagined, he explained in a TED talk that went viral. The abilities, demonstrated by Emily and others, are not anomalies but latent potentials in all of us. Meanwhile, at Whispers Ranch, Grandma Rose led a training program that attracted people from around the world. The course, which combined ancestral practices with modern scientific discoveries, taught techniques to develop empathy and communication, not only with animals, but with all of nature. The secret is not in speaking, she taught, but in listening. Listening not just with the ears, but with the whole being. Jack and Hannah, seeing the global impact of the work initiated at their small ranch, decided to expand the project. With the support of environmental organizations and ethical investors, they began to establish similar centers in different parts of the world, each adapted to local characteristics and needs. However, not everything was rosy. The rapid growth of the movement brought unexpected challenges. There were reports of unscrupulous people trying to commercially exploit the new abilities, promising miraculous cures or competitive advantages in the business world. Emily, deeply disturbed by this news, called an emergency meeting with the original signatories of the Declaration of Planetary Harmony. We need to find a way to protect this knowledge, she argued. We cannot allow it to be used for manipulation or personal gain. After days of intense debate, the group reached an innovative solution: the creation of a Global Council of Ethics and Harmony, an independent body composed of scientists, spiritual leaders, environmentalists, and representatives of indigenous communities from around the world. The council would be responsible for establishing ethical guidelines, overseeing research and mediating conflicts related to the use of the new abilities. Most importantly, it would work to ensure that knowledge remained accessible to all, avoiding its monopolization by governments or corporations. While these changes unfolded on the global stage, something extraordinary began to happen at Whispers Ranch. The horses, led by Thunder, seemed to be developing their own forms of evolved communication. Observers reported seeing the animals in complex formations, moving in patterns that resembled elaborate dances. Dr. Aisha Patel, who had permanently moved to Maple Creek to continue her research, was fascinated by the phenomenon. "It's as if we're witnessing evolution in real time," she commented. The horses seemed to be responding to the elevation of human consciousness with their own form of cognitive expansion. One night, during one of these equine dances, Emily had a powerful vision. She saw the Earth from space, enveloped in a luminous network of connections that linked all living beings. In this cosmic web of consciousness, humans, animals, plants, and even the planet itself pulsated in harmony. When she shared her vision with Grandma Rose, the wise woman smiled with understanding. "What you saw, my dear, is what our ancestors called the web of life. It's the fundamental truth we're rediscovering. Everything is connected." Inspired by this vision, Emily began work on a new book, The Symphony of Balance. In it, she described a future where humans, animals, and nature coexisted in perfect harmony, each playing its unique role in the great orchestra of life. The ICB book, published on her 15th birthday, became a global phenomenon. Translated into dozens of languages, it inspired grassroots movements worldwide, encouraging people to rediscover their connection with nature and with each other. Meanwhile, at Whispers Ranch, a new chapter was about to begin. Thunder, the horse, that had initiated this entire journey, showed signs that he was preparing for a major change. His behavior indicated that he had an important message to share, something that could take the understanding of expanded consciousness to an entirely new level. Emily, sensing the importance of the moment, called a special meeting at the ranch. Scientists, spiritual leaders, representatives of the Global Council, and close friends were invited to what promised to be an unprecedented event. On the eve of the gathering, as the sun set over the golden fields of the ranch, Emily sat alone with Thunder. Stroking the strong neck of the animal, she whispered, "We're ready, my friend. The world is ready to hear what you have to say." The horse softly neighed, his deep eyes reflecting the wisdom of ages. In the air there was a palpable sense of anticipation, as if the entire universe held its breath, awaiting the next note in the great symphony of balance. Dawn arrived at Whispers Ranch with an almost palpable aura of expectation. The sky, painted in shades of pink and gold, seemed to announce the arrival of an extraordinary day. People from all parts of the world had gathered, forming a respectful circle around the great oak at the center of the main pasture. Emily, now a young woman of 15 with wisdom beyond her years, stood beside Thunder. The majestic black horse, whose eyes seemed to contain the mystery of 1,000 lives, remained serene, as if he knew exactly the role he would play in that historic moment. Dr. Richard Morgan, Dr. Aisha Patel, and a team of scientists had set up a mobile laboratory nearby, equipped with the most advanced instruments for neurological and electromagnetic field monitoring. They hoped to capture data that could help scientifically understand and validate what was about to happen. Grandma. Rose, now a lady with completely white hair, but with eyes that shone with the vitality of a young woman, took her place at a point in the circle. She held in her hands the oldest diary of her great-grandmother, as if seeking strength and guidance in the words of her ancestors. When the sun finally rose above the horizon, bathing the scene with its golden light, Emily made a silent gesture. The murmur of conversations ceased, and a deep, expectant silence took over the place. The young girl closed her eyes, placing one hand on Thunder's neck. For a few moments, nothing seemed to happen. Then, slowly, a subtle change began to manifest. Those present felt a gentle vibration, as if the air itself was charged with energy. Suddenly, Emily opened her eyes, but they were no longer just her eyes. Through them, Thunder seemed to look at the world. When she spoke, her voice was a surprising mixture of the human timbre with the deep neigh of the horse. "We are one. Not just this young woman and I, but all of you, all creatures, the trees, the rocks, the planet itself. The separation you perceive is an illusion, a veil that is now being lifted." The voice continued, resonating not just in the ears but in the hearts of all those present. "For ages we have waited for humanity to rediscover its true nature. You are not separate from the web of life. You are vital threads in it. Each thought, each action reverberates throughout the network, affecting everything and everyone." The words flowed, revealing profound truths about the nature of consciousness, the interconnection of all things, and the unique role that each being plays in the great symphony of existence. What you call communication with animals is just the first step. True communication is the deep understanding that there is no other. There is only the great dance of life, expressing itself through countless forms. While Emily Thunder spoke, something extraordinary began to happen. Dr. Richard and Dr. Aisha's instruments recorded an unprecedented phenomenon, synchronized brainwaves emanating not just from Emily and Thunder, but expanding to encompass all those present. People reported profound experiences of unity, visions of past and future times, and an intuitive understanding of the complex networks that connect all life on Earth. The message continued, addressing the challenges that humanity faced, and offering guidance for a path of harmony and healing. The knowledge we are sharing is not new. It is as old as the universe itself. You are just remembering what you have always known at your core. The healing of your world will not come from external technologies, but from the internal awakening of each being. When the voice finally silenced, there was a moment of absolute quietness. Then, like a wave, understanding of what they had witnessed began to spread among those present. Tears of joy and amazement flowed freely. Hugs were exchanged between strangers who now felt like family. Emily, slowly returning to herself, looked at Thunder with a new level of understanding and gratitude. The horse inclined his head, gently, touching the girl's forehead in a gesture of deep affection and mutual respect. Dr. Richard, still stunned by the data his instruments had recorded, murmured, "This changes everything. All our understanding of consciousness, of life." We'll need to rewrite the science books. Grandma Rose, with tears in her eyes, opened her great-grandmother's ancient diary and read aloud, "When the horse and the child speak as one, the veil will be lifted, and humanity will remember its true home in the heart of the universe." Inisetisia, the days, weeks, and months that followed, Thunder's message spread throughout the world like a gentle fire, lighting the flame of understanding and compassion in hearts everywhere. Whispers Ranch became a beacon of hope and transformation, attracting people from all corners of the planet who sought to reconnect with their true essence. Emily, understanding the enormous responsibility that came with this knowledge, dedicated herself to teaching and guiding others. She knew that true change would not come from a single person or event, but from the collective awakening of humanity. And so, as the sun set on this extraordinary chapter of human history, a new dawn was announced, a dawn of understanding, unity, and harmony with all life. End of story. Dear listeners, we hope that Emily and Thunder's journey has touched your hearts and awakened in you a new perception about our connection with the world around us. To continue exploring these transformative ideas, we've prepared a special playlist with equally inspiring stories. You can find it by clicking on the link to the left. If this narrative resonated with you, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Every day, we bring unique stories that explore the wonders and mysteries of life. Share your own experiences and reflections in the comments. We're eager to hear how this story impacted you. Remember, each of us has the power to make a difference, to be an agent of change and harmony in our world. Together, we can create a symphony of balance that echoes through all forms of life. Until the next story, keep your hearts and minds open to the wonders that surround us.